There has been a massive face-off between troops of India and China over the past few days in Ladakh. Both India and China have said that they want a peaceful solution, but that's not the case in China's dealings with Taiwan. A top Chinese general has threatened to attack Taiwan if there is no other way of stopping the island from becoming independent. The threat came from one of China's most senior generals, Li Zhoucheng, who was speaking at Beijing's Great Hall of the People on the 15th anniversary of the anti-secession law. The 2005 law gives the country the legal basis for military action against Taiwan if it secedes. China considers Taiwan as a breakaway province, while the island says that it is an independent state. The threat came even as Chinese Premier Li Keqiang had said that Beijing will promote the peaceful reunification with Taiwan. Li said that China was firmly opposed to Taiwan's independence.
我在政府工作报告当中已经说了，我们对台的大政方针是一贯的，这也是世所共知的，一个中国的原则，9·2共识都要坚持，坚持反对台独。在这个政治基础上，我们愿意和台湾各政党、团体和人士就两岸关系和民族发展的未来对话协商，来推动两岸和平发展，促进祖国和平统一。我们可以说是尽最大诚意和最大努力。
Taiwan recently invited China's ire after it promised to settle Hong Kongers who flee the city for political reasons. We'll also like to remind our viewers that China is planning to hold military drills in August to rehearse for a possible future assault on Taiwan-controlled Dongsha Islands, and the world community will have its eyes on those Chinese war games which are aimed at beach capture and island invasion. Those war games will be held in the month of August. We are now joined by political analyst Lev Nachman from Taipei. Lev, welcome to WION. Thank you so much for joining us. China has now openly threatened to use force if Taiwan tries to gain independence. Is this a new threat? And has Taipei dealt with such kind of threats earlier? How is Taipei reacting to this?
Threats like this from Beijing are actually very normal. So almost every leader of the CCP from Mao to now has been making these kinds of threats against Taiwan. And almost always they have very little reaction domestically in Taiwan. People in Taiwan are so used to these threats that military threats don't really cause much of a reaction anymore. And it's important to note that when the CCP makes these kinds of threats, their intended audience isn't really for Taiwan, it's really more for their domestic Chinese audience. Because people in Taiwan don't really take these threats seriously, but people within China see these as a very nationalistic, patriotic talking point that kind of rallies a sense of support for the CCP.
Right, but Lev, the relations between China and Taiwan have certainly deteriorated over the past few months, certainly, isn't it? Because Taiwan really dealt with this pandemic in an exceptional manner and gained international support at the World Health Organization as well. And Taiwan is now openly supporting the people of Hong Kong in their face-off against the Chinese regime as well. So is Taiwan prepared for a backlash from China in any form?
So it's important to also note that support for Hong Kong has actually started since last June. Every political party in Taiwan has actually openly supported the Hong Kong protesters, including the Chinese Nationalist Party, the KMT, since they broke out last June. As to whether or not Taiwan is able to handle a military conflict, the main purpose of what Taiwan plans its military strategy as is to be able to defend Taiwan. And if a military conflict actually occurs, Taiwan will not be the only one invested in what happens here, but so will the United States and so will Japan. But because there really has not been a major change into cross-strait policy. Really, the only difference is that the world sees Taiwan through a friendlier lens. The odds of a military conflict really increasing that drastically this fall, I think, still remain to be seen.
Absolutely. We are also getting reports from Taiwan that China is actually planning to deploy 2 aircraft carriers in those August war games, which many experts in Taiwan believe it is a dress rehearsal for an invasion on Taiwan. How is Taiwan preparing for those war games? Does Taiwan have enough international backing? What about support from the United States of America?
So China conducts war games within the Taiwan Strait regularly. They fly planes over the Taiwan Strait to practice drills regularly throughout the year. There actually were similar rehearsals last August, and domestically, not a whole lot of reaction from the public. Again, because Taiwanese people are so used to these kinds of displays and these kinds of threats from the PRC. Whether or not Taiwan will have international support from the United States is kind of always the million-dollar question, because on one hand, the United States has said that they are invested in Taiwan maintaining the level of autonomy that it has, and they are invested in making sure that the status quo does not change. As is Taiwan. President Tsai Ing-wen herself is a fairly pro-status quo politician who is invested in making sure that there is no change to Taiwan's current level of sovereignty. It seems unlikely that military conflict will rise to that point, but if it does, there are enough reasons to suspect there will be at least some support from other places beyond just Taiwan.
Right. Lev, thank you so much for joining us. But this is really a Chinese general mincing no words as he warns Taiwan that China is prepared to use force to stop Taiwan from gaining independence.